A blessed good morning to you and welcome to our devotions for Tuesday morning. It is a joy to be with you again today and I look forward to all that the Spirit will do in our midst this morning. I continue to ask you to pray for God's presence on our world, especially in those areas where there is war, where there is violence. We continue to pray for an end of violence in our world as we daily seek God's continued grace in our midst. So we come again this day and we ask God to be with us and to bless us and keep us so that we may be of service to God in this world. So with that said, we want to now turn our attention to our period of meditation for this morning and be open to all that God is seeking to do in our lives. So I invite you to find your space as usual and to be attentive. Bring your attention into your heart space and set the intention to be with God. Set the intention to journey in this time with God, seeking guidance, seeking God's presence and peace in our lives. So we breathe in and out slowly, becoming more and more aware of the internal dimension of ourselves and knowing that God is with us. God is guiding us and healing us. God is strengthening us as the days come and go. So we breathe into the stillness, sensing that peace, sensing that tranquility, and trusting God in all things. In these quiet places that we go, keeping our lines clear, ensuring that we are able to receive the grace which is coming to us. Jesus left that place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Just then a Canaanite woman from that region came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not answer her at all. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." He answered, "It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." And Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed instantly. How persistent are we in our journey with God? How intentional are we? The reading this morning that we have just heard is an episode in the story of Jesus that speaks of his encounter with this Canaanite woman. Not a Jewish woman, a Canaanite woman. And Jesus is indicating to her as she makes her plea that he has come with a special task to select group. And it is not fair that he should take what he has for this select group and cast it to persons who would not necessarily appreciate it. The woman agrees, but she in turn reminds Jesus that even though they might not appreciate it in its fullness, they may be able to grasp something from the scraps. An interesting perspective. The dogs eat the crumbs. Within the context of native groups, there's always that sense that nothing should be wasted. So, for example, you would find in the Native Americans that when they killed the buffalo, nothing is thrown away. Every aspect of the buffalo is used for something. So nothing is wasted. We see this again in the various episodes of the feeding of persons. There's always the requirement to gather the crumbs, gather up the fragments, that nothing be lost. It's important that we understand that is how our world works, that everything can be used, everything has use, it serves some purpose. We live in a culture these days that does not necessarily subscribe to that. And we take what we want and we dismiss the rest. I remember watching a movie once where some Westerners were going across the West and they were after the hide of the buffalo, and they went on a killing spree and they killed so many buffalo. They stripped them of the hide and they just left the carcasses there to rot. And the natives were horrified because obviously there was more there than they could use. And they couldn't understand how a set of persons could behave like this. How they could disrespect nature. The woman reminds Jesus that even the crumbs are enough. they will serve someone. So this morning, as we go through this journey of ours, I want us to do so, first of all, mindful that everything has value. Everything can be used. There's someone out there that can benefit from what we may be discarding. And then more especially, I want us to see this woman, this Canaanite woman, and see how she persists, how she doesn't take offense, but goes after what she wants. Her desire is for the well-being of her child, and she will not allow anything to stand in her way. This week I suggested that we look at the flow of grace and the importance of keeping it flowing in our lives. And so if we put these two together, we get the invitation to be like that woman, to let nothing hinder our purpose, our intention. To not be turned back by anything, any experience. To not let any experience block our lives, block the grace that God gives us. But to keep that grace flowing. To commit ourselves to allowing the grace of God to flow in our lives. In these past few days, there have been an uncanny number of suicides here in this little land of ours. And not to mention, God knows, the others in other places. What leads us there? When for some reason we feel that we don't have what it takes to breathe again, that somehow the life force within us seems to be almost gone. To breathe is painful, is laborious. We are no longer breathing automatically. We're not breathing and not being aware that we are breathing. We're actually just grasping for breath. Life seems to have gone out of us. And each breath is painful. And one comes to a place where one feels, why breathe? If breathing is so painful, why breathe? But the challenge really isn't with the breathing. The breathing is but the final manifestation of something that is far deeper. And what is far deeper is the channel of grace that in some way or another we have caused to become clogged. And because it is clogged, so little grace is coming through that we don't have the energy to live. What is disturbing, though, is the number of our children who are finding it difficult to breathe. One can understand adults to some extent going through the challenges of life and finding it difficult to breathe. But the little ones, what could have cluttered their channel of grace in such a short period of time? What could be so heavy and thorough to block them? One wonders, are we denying our children their childhood? Are we putting pressure on them that wasn't placed on ourselves and those who went before us? Are they exposed to situations and circumstances way before they have the mental capacity to deal with them? Could this be what might very well be causing them to be cluttered? Since if the various nuances of life trip us up as adults and we've got experience, what about these children of ours with so little experience? What about them? We may never know the full answer for this, but what is important is that we become more mindful and that we become more observant of our little ones, observant of the things that they find themselves involved in, observant of the experiences that they're having, being watchful with the things that they may say here and there so that we can kind of get a glimpse of what they may be exposed to. And assisting them in finding ways to keep that channel clear, to keep that channel clear, so that they can breathe. They can breathe. Our children need boundaries, not to keep them in, because they must feel free. But our children need boundaries to keep all the harm out, or as much as we can. Because there are those individuals out there who prey on children, either directly or indirectly. And not always along the normal pathways that we identify as predators. No. Oftentimes in very subtle ways that on the surface may seem to be in the child's best interest, but in many ways it creates an opportunity for the destruction, for the clogging up of the child. Many make it through, and there's where the problem lies, because many children make it through, but many don't. We, as human beings, must always be aware that it is by grace that we live. And we must allow as much of that grace to come into our lives as possible, keeping it flowing. This is a must. And we must work at it continuously in order that we are able, not only for ourselves but also for our children, to help us all make it to another day. The woman was persistent. She didn't let anything stand in her way. She was ready. She was prepared. We must be ready. We must be prepared. And we must assist our children in being prepared. Protect them. Protect them for as long as you can from the wiles of the evil, that they may have the space to grow, to experience, to fall down and to get up in a safe place, where even though they fall, they know they have the grace within to rise up.